What's up, my good people? What's up, my good people? Wake up with me. It's your man, Trayvon Pratt with AIM. Always improving the mind. Really got to wake up with me. Wake me up, shoot. It's a nice, cool, calm morning, and I am tired. You can see it in my eyes. They have not opened yet. I have not opened my eyes just yet. But today, beautifully, is the last day of the Men's Mental Health Month. And we have been going strong. And I think that we touched on some wonderful topics. We had some great guests. And within this month, I've had challenges on, where I had to practice what I preach. I've had moments um, where do I choose rest or do I choose go? This is a moment right here. I had to come here this morning, no matter how tired I am. Had to come. So forgive the DJ voice, the late night DJ voice, but had to come in here, man. Um, and I just want to thank all of the people that have tuned in. And I know that if you watch this, you've learned something over the past month. I've learned, I've felt, we've uncovered, we discovered, and we just did some wonderful stuff, man. So shout out to all of the men out there. Um, before we close out this month, I just want to let y'all know y'all not alone, bro. I learned that there is a loneliness epidemic amongst men. This month I learned that. And I want to let y'all know we not alone. If you're here, you got somebody to talk to. You just got to be willing and bold enough to speak. So let's go through a lot of the things that we uncovered. That was the first thing that we went live on. Y'all know my slogan is you can't have community without communication. So the first thing I told you is listen, we got to break this silence, man. Break the silence. It's all right if you're not all right. And if you are, how did you get to that point? Because somebody else isn't. So share your story, share your voice. There's no shaming. We ain't pointing the finger. Somebody told me when you point one finger to someone else, you got three. How I'm gonna do it? You got three pointing back at you. Use the other hand. When you point one finger at somebody else, you got three pointing back at you. Accountability. So ain't no shaming, man. We got rid of the mask, took the mask off, where all guys put on like the tough guy. I explained to y'all my story, my background. I trying to discover what a man is to me. I thought it was just a tough guy, show no emotions. Thought being a protector meant to fight and only a physical fight. So I became a bully in my teenage years. And um, from like 14 to 16, I was in anger management, and that did not help me manage my anger. It actually became more of a bragging. Like all of the guys in there is like who is the most angry. So, it became like a competition. But it wasn't until I saw how my anger was reflecting on the ones that I love, how it was repelling people. I'm trying to show that I can protect you, and yet I'm the one that you seem that you need protection from. That wasn't what I was trying to do. So I had to learn what protection actually looks like. Security, right? I walked around with that tough face that I don't give a F, and it didn't serve me. I had to learn what it was. I used to drive around when I could finally drive. I used to drive around like I wish somebody would, but I had to learn what that meant. Like, I didn't actually want to fight, and that's what I was talking about. I never was on some shooting, but I never actually wanted to fight. Maybe I needed some more healthier outlets for my anger at the time, but I never actually wanted to fight. I always wanted love, and love is the foundation. So break the silence, stop shaming. We ain't on that. We ain't pointing the finger, we lending a hand. Even if your assistance is leaving them alone, sometimes that's what you need. Like, we got enough pressure, we got enough say so, we got enough, you know, we know what isn't happening. So we don't always need somebody else telling us what we aren't. That could push us over the edge too, right? So sometimes the best reaction is none. Leave that man alone or embrace him with love. Show him that is not what everything else has been telling them. You feel me? Break the silence. If you're not okay, admit it. Because you can't solve a problem that you don't acknowledge. And we don't want to hold on to it. The longer we hold on to something internally, the more weight it gains. And so many of us men are cracking from our own pressure. So break the silence, man. Say something before it's too late. And that's real. That's real. The next thing that we did, we spoke about, we had my guy, the fitness philosopher, Mr. Deshaun. He was up here. We spoke on mental fitness, the connection between your mental and your physical health. And I had told everybody that anybody that comes to me that want to get their mind right, the first thing we gonna do is work on something physical, right? We're gonna go for a walk. We gonna, you know, get you a gym membership. You're gonna do some jumping jacks or something. Here's this video. Do some yoga. Like, do something physical because the body needs activity and the mind needs that movement. When you do something physical, it's tangible. So you can get that result right away, boosting your confidence, boosting your happiness, relieving stress. When you work out, you literally relieve the stress hormone. Not that it dissolves it completely, not that it gets rid of it all the time. Yes, there are some gym rats who are still stressed, but they don't carry their stress the same way. A lot of them say this mantra, we leave it in the gym, just like a boxer. We leave it in the ring, just like, football. We leave it on the field. Basketball, we leave it on the court. You know how to exert yourself, exhaust yourself to get this off of you. You know how to put that energy into something. So the correlation between mental and physical health, you can build your mind the same way you build your body. Proper diet, workout, challenge, push, what I'm saying, to new limits, try something new, right? Rest. And when I say proper diet, what are you ingesting mentally? Meaning, what are you continuously listening to? What are you continuously choosing to see? You could choose to watch different things, to pay attention to different things. That's the correlation between mental and physical fitness. Shout out to my guy Deshaun, the fitness philosopher. Follow him on Instagram. Strong mind equals a strong man. Once you start to develop yourself, you build this mental resilience, meaning you're not going to be taken out by everything. You're not going to take everything personally, right? The smallest stuff ain't going to crack you. It ain't going to break you. You got an outlet, a health. This is one of those healthier outlets I was speaking about. You have an outlet for when you're feeling a type of way, or just in building yourself. It don't have to be in negative. You know what I mean? You don't have to be in bad. Like the default setting is negative. No, do these things in a good setting, in a good frame of mind to elevate. We always improving. So you build that resilience in that way, that mental resilience. Also, when it comes to mental resilience, trying to jump in the head here, but you start to be more self-aware, right? Key component in getting your physical right is discipline. Even when I don't feel like it, if this is what I need to do, then I need to do it. Right? So you start to build yourself, you start to learn yourself through this process. So when outside factors try to tell you what you aren't, whether it's a situation, whether it's propaganda, whether it's, some type of authority or just other people try to tell you what you aren't, like I said, you're resilient to these. You're unaffected, you're unfazed versus acting like it doesn't affect you. Just putting on a tough face just to get through it ain't the same as being unaffected. So, same principles align from getting your body right, your physical right, to getting your mind right. Do the same thing: exercise, diet, rest, discipline, consistency, and watch how your mental improve. Mm-mm-mm. What's the next subject we spoke on? Said we spoke on ego and pride. Some of us got too much pride to admit that we actually dealing with something, right? We're too set as men, we're too set and too focused on the image of man that isn't even our image. We trying to create ourselves and mold ourselves into this being that everybody else say that you should be. It's societal standard. Look at society. Do they set the standard, bro? Look at it for real. You know what I mean? But yes, ego hold us back. I know there's a book, I haven't read it, but I like the title. It's called Ego is the Enemy. But your ego is there. Your ego and your pride is there for protection. Your mental uses these things to try to keep your sense of self identity. So when your ego speaks up, it's trying to prove to yourself who you are. And when your pride speaks up, it's trying to prove that you are valuable, that you are capable. You know what I'm saying? When your pride is there, uh, these are the good things about these things that is there for mental protection. Your mind has these things for mental protection, but you have to utilize them in the right way because pride will hold you back. Ego will definitely cancel you out. They have so many more negative effects. They have so many more negative effects. And I know, like I said, we have us men are in a loneliness epidemic. Literally, that comes from the pride and the ego that's keeping us from talking. When we finally do talk to each other, it's keeping us from connecting. When there's a connection established, it's keeping us from being consistent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't have community without communication. Y'all got to know that I live this. I actually talk to a lot of my guys, but a lot of my guys all have the same barriers, they have the same limits. There are a handful of men that I talk to that I could talk to beyond the surface. And those men that I could talk to beyond the surface, they always, there's a line in a rap song that I like that says, if you around me, you don't got no choice but to be better. Everybody around me did better. And that's because you're able to be vulnerable enough to allow things to happen. A connection can be made, a friendship, a relationship could be established, right? And from that vulnerable position, you're willing to ask for help and you're willing to help others. These are vulnerable positions. And that's like the main thing that men try not to be is vulnerable. But doing it in the rightest of ways, you'll realize that this is not actually an issue. If somebody can't handle you in a vulnerable state, it's a reflection of them, not you. Somebody being extra tough on you is something that they don't like about themselves, and it's projecting. And the conundrum about it is once you are willing, once you accept that you have vulnerable moments, you might go through a phase where, you know what I'm saying, you are in a vulnerable state, but for the most part, most of the time, you won't be. If you're willing to go there, then you won't always be there. But the ones who disacknowledge it, got too much ego and pride to say that it's actually happening, are the ones that are staying there. They live from a sense of vulnerability. Uh, now you're super sensitive to where it's like, I done said what's up to somebody before, and they like, what you mean, what's up? You in a super sense, that's hypersensitivity. How did what's up turn into altercation in your mind? You got that much ego, that much pride, and that puts you in such a sensitive spot to where you're super reactive, overreactive to everything, to the point where, a guy saying what's up got you ready to click out. So we just spoke on that. Ego versus healing. How pride blocks men's mental health. We could be doing so much better as men. We won't be lonely if we didn't have this pride that's blocking us from talking to each other. And then when we do talk to each other, we usually connect through what mediums? It's usually sports, cars, women, right? We got a small category of openers. And a lot of us just stay right there. Remember, I said the ones that can go past the surface, they're the ones who are willing to be vulnerable. And it's a handful. But I talk to so many guys every day, every day. Only a handful has been willing to go the distance. That pride is blocking the men's mental health. We wouldn't be in a loneliness epidemic. We could actually talk. A lot of us wouldn't have so many of the repercussions that we got to face from our actions, from having this pride and ego that makes us act out of character for no real reason. Next thing we spoke about, we had my senior up here, my Sir Utley, Doc Rob himself. Shout out to Dr. Robert Utley. We had a conversation on the rites of passage from boy to man. You know, for the Men's Mental Health Month, I've been asking, what can men do? What can men talk about? And he was the first, one of the only people that said, the issue isn't in the man, it's in the boy. Go to the boy. Let's talk to the boy. Let's talk to the youth. Let's bring them up. And he's an African histories major. So when he talks about the rites of passage, this has actually already been established. If we go further back in history, we got to go past slavery to learn ourselves, right? If you are black and your knowledge of black history starts at slavery, you missing. You don't know yourself yet. You got to go further than that, right? Because we are the birthplace of civilization, meaning we were already a civilized people before any interruption. Every civilization has imitated and copied African, and African is in your blood if you are African American, if you are black, If you are melanated, it is in your blood. Truth be told, it's in all our blood, but that's world history. Going back far enough, we already had this established, the rites of passage. Everybody in the community knew their role, knew what position to play. The youth had no choice but to listen to the elder. There was no option. There was no ignoring. There was no senior center to dump your parents on, right? There was no outside living facility. There was no shirking off responsibility when it came to a child. That's where this line, "it takes a village," came from. The village knew the importance of the child, the importance of the woman, the importance of the man, the importance of the elder. Everybody had something to do. And it was on us, our responsibility, to instill certain qualities into this boy. And he had to go through a trial or trials before we could state that, yes, you are now a man. It's a rites of passage. Go check out that episode. We went deep. We went deep, my boy Utley, man. There's a treasure trove of wisdom in there. Where we at? How much time we got? Okay. Okay. And I love that conversation because that's one that I learned so much, right? I learned that I speak about it all the time, how I was the rebellious teen and I became a bully and all of that stuff was because I was trying to discover myself. And I realized that myself, my being, didn't fit with what I was told and taught to be. You know what I mean? Like, no one showed me how to be a man. Had to learn, had to piece this together. No one showed me what adulthood would be like. I got a few like, oh, it's all bad, or it ain't that bad, or the biggest lie is, oh, adult. Once you become an adult, you free to do whatever you want to do. Nah, dog. Not with responsibility. You know what I mean? So check out that live because we went in, and I'm gonna put all of these videos we recapping is in a playlist. So if you want to check that out, you go to the AIM channel, and we have the men's mental health playlist. Every topic that we discuss in that realm of men's mental health, it will be in that playlist, and I love it. So yes, we spoke on the rites of passage from boy to man, the importance of 7. Every 7 years is some developmental areas. The next thing that we did, shout out to my boy Quan, Mr. Quanton himself. He came up here and we spoke on the topics of dating, trauma, and family ties, family dynamics. Um, a lot of us, like I said, a lot of us men carry more pressure or put more pressure on ourselves than necessary. Me and Quan had discovered that we both took on these roles of, I'm gonna make sure the family good, and never actually ask the family what it is that they needed. When we talk about provision, because we automatically, the man is a provider, man is a protector. When we talk about providing, we don't talk about that enough. What does that look like? How are you providing if you're not giving whoever you're providing for what it is that they need? And most of the people that we're providing for or want to provide for are adults. Have you had the conversation with them? So for me, I want to make sure the family good. I want to put my mom in the house. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, I got my own family. I got my own household to take care of. So I started beating myself up because all I could do is take care of my family and do something for moms every now and then, which is honorable. That is amazing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest thing that my mom actually wanted for me was for me to be independent. For me to be able to take care of myself. She's done her job. You know what I mean? And she's happy about that. She's proud about that. It's like, who told you that you gotta, what I'm saying? Especially now, we talk about 500,000 for a regular house, like a 2-bedroom in this economy. So I would need a M to get me a regular house and then get her a regular house. And that's not maintenance. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even though more millionaires are being created, the number still is still low. And the odds are still low that you'll actually become a millionaire. So then what does this provision look like? Because now what happened to me is I'm telling myself that I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough. It's messing with my mental that I'm not able to put everybody in the house, basically. Everybody don't got their own because of me. I'm terrible. You know what I mean? And starting to crack from that stress. It wasn't until I broke the silence, like, but I supposed to be doing more. And then everybody was like, why do you think that? As much as I already do, just being somebody that they can talk to is more than helpful. You can call me for some type of assistance. I can help you move. I can fill your fridge. I can give you some gas. I can fix something that needs to be fixed. I'm there. There's a tight altercation. They call me. They call me. So I'm doing better than what I was allowing myself to see because of this broad generalization of providing that I put on myself. I'm cracking under my own pressure. Then when it comes to family dynamics, when you learn yourself and you love yourself, you start to set boundaries. And those boundaries, somebody posed a question during that live, asked, could you be ready for a relationship if you don't have your family relationships intact? And we all say no now. That was a good question because they say, one of the lines is they say, um, if you want to see how a man treats a woman, watch how he treats his mom. Right? What does he think about his mother? How does he act to the women in his family? How is he? Now, to seeing guys who super distant, cuss out their family, blame their family. Surprise, surprise, they don't have healthy relationships. There's a connection there. And then I see guys who they always with the family, you know. They show all this love, and they the ones that talk to me like, man, I want somebody that I could give this love to, you know? So, yeah, I think that is a connection. And once you love yourself, once you see yourself, you're aware of yourself, you love yourself, there will automatically be some boundaries set. And even when it comes to family, especially when it comes to family, these boundaries need to be met and you got to stand on them, right? And that goes in the realm of dating too. Uh, just learn more about yourself, and just being yourself will gain you the right attention. You don't have to break the mold. You don't have to be everything someone else or everything outside of you tries to guide you to be. And unfortunately, we don't have that rites of passage that Utley talked about. So we're figuring it out on our own. What I said earlier, I had to figure out what a man was to me, how to be the man that I am. Shout out to my mom and the family and the friends and the village that I had that instilled in me certain qualities, but I had to learn how to be. And the landing point always is just being yourself. I tell people, man, until I got on a men's podcast, I never even heard a discussion about masculinity or femininity. I never had to talk about or try to be masculine. They equate masculine with man, but men and women both possess masculine and feminine energy. It's just self-awareness. How am I going to react in whatever the situation is? You know what I mean? Practice calm. Think before reacting. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And it's just like, I never had to have that conversation until recently. And then I was like, wow, there's so much misinformation about this that I could see why, when it comes to dating, everybody is in disarray. It's like a competition. So how are we coming together if it's like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you bring to the table? What you bring to the table? I am the table. Me too. Okay, well, we could just stay separate. Stay separate. You know what I mean? And we talked about trauma. Did you know trauma could be passed down hereditarily? That's why the elephant is afraid of the mouse. I forget the term. Sir Utley has told me about it. It's transgenetic epidemic inheritance. I'm gonna have to ask Utley for the exact terminology. But yes, trauma could be passed down through your DNA. Trauma affects your DNA. And of course, y'all know that that's what we instill in the next to be born is DNA. It's in you. So a lot of us, when we talk about you want to break a generational curse, a lot of us are reacting or making decisions based on our programming, our wiring from the start, and don't even know it, don't even realize it. It's not until you really pay attention to yourself, your surroundings, and where you came from that you can start making better decisions, different decisions from a different standpoint. Trauma is a real thing. And whatever, just because it's not traumatizing to you doesn't mean it's not traumatizing to somebody else. So ain't no trauma shaming. If somebody is affected by something, again, I don't shame. I want to see what it is that you're actually affected by. Now that's me. Mr. Can't have community without communication because I want to see you better. I've been through more than enough to where a lot of things just don't phase me. But the things that do phase me, somebody else will be like, so, you know what I mean? Like I'm big on relationship. I know relationship cannot sustain without communication. So when the silent treat me, this the silent treatment. If I find you as an important person and you give me the silent treatment, man, I'm ready to throw you off a balcony. Not for real, but I'm ready to shake you like, yo, just say something. The silent treatment can send me, you know what I mean? And for most people, it's like, shoot, that's a reward. I don't even want to talk anyway. That's not me. It's not me. So whatever is traumatizing to you, accept that about you. Because until you acknowledge it, accept it, you cannot make an adjustment. You cannot adapt. You cannot grow until you acknowledge and accept. This did affect me. This did hurt me. Then we can go into why. Then we can go into learning. But you first got to acknowledge and then accept. And that's where I get stuck at a lot of times is I don't really accept because a lot of people within their self-discovery cut other people off, right? Not knocking it, but why? If it was a good reason for you, go through with it. But most of the time, it ain't. It ain't. But like in this society, we preached independence so much. We preached individualism so much that we burn our bridges, we cut our ties. You know what I'm saying? And then wonder why we're alone. So I've had so many people cut themselves from me, and I discovered my childhood trauma is the want to be wanted. I want to be wanted. At my inner core, I want to be wanted. So when somebody for no real reason like pushes me to the side or cut me off or get real distant with me, and that affects me. Again, I know it doesn't hit the same for a lot of people, but I use me as an example because whatever can be traumatizing to you is traumatizing to you. And then it doesn't matter when it comes to your emotions, when it comes to what you feel, it's not about acceptance from someone else. You don't need validation from someone else about what it is that you feel. If you got hurt by it, you got hurt by it. Someone else didn't. Even if they show empathy, they still don't feel exactly what you feel. They can understand why you feel what you feel, but they're not the ones who are suffering. So again, we can't just keep this mask on. I'm not encouraging you to like cry in public, even though if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. I don't care where I'm at. But when you get more in tune with yourself, you learn how to handle yourself. you learn what it is that you actually feeling, you don't always get to that point. The more emotionally sound you are. So, yeah, us men are carrying way more trauma than we like to acknowledge. But the flip side to that, my guy, is when you acknowledge it, then you can accept it. This actually happened. This is actually how I feel because of it. Then you can move forward. So if you're feeling stuck, even if you don't want to label it trauma, if you feeling stuck or feel like you're going to keep getting the same responses from from different people giving you the same responses, same energy, giving you the same, you keep getting the same result, then you got to look at yourself. And it's something about you. I know so many guys that say they want a woman and they're attractive men. They attract women. But once the woman is there, they pushing them away. You know what I'm saying? With all of this ego talk that they don't even realize that's what it is. And I'm like, bro, you are breaking the connection. It's you. If you gonna come to me, we gonna have a real discussion. It's you. All these women can't be bad. That's just how women are. No, that's just how you are. It's you. You pushing them away. And that's a trauma response. So you want a connection, but you're breaking the connections before they can actually build, before they can actually become bonds as a trauma response. More than likely from a connection being broken that was out of your power. Or so you think. Right? It gets deep. And we spoke about that with my guy Quan on the episode Dating, Trauma, and Family Ties, a real talk on men's mental health. The next thing that we discussed, man, we went over some things this month, man. The next thing that we discussed, and I can't discuss this enough, is emotions. Excuse me. We went over emotions, how to regulate your emotions without losing self control. First thing I did was I got a PDF, a free emotion wheel chart. It's in the description. All info will be in the description. Right? And when it comes to emotions, no one chooses their emotion, but you choose your thoughts. Right? The process is emotion, thought, decision, action. My guy Quan. And we speaking of Quan, that was the guest we was just had. He said that's real, Trey. May not want to be liked by everyone, but want to be likable and not have any off-putting qualities. Number two of the four agreements. Take nothing personal. Seemingly impossible. Seemingly impossible. So what Quan is referring to is the book, The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements. Can you lay out those four agreements for us, Quan? He said the second one is take nothing personal. I know one of them is be explicit with your word. I think another one is expect nothing. Or no, is don't assume. That's my favorite one. Don't assume. When I read that book and I read that chapter on don't assume, I think that's the third agreement. I was like, yo, that thing that puts so much into perspective. Our disappointments come from our expectations. Think about it. At the most basic level, somebody reacted differently than you expected. Now I'm upset. You know what I'm saying? Somebody did something outside of your expectation, or they did not respond in the way that you'd expected them to. You know what I'm saying? So when you get ghosted on a text or something, well, okay, your expectation was a response. You know what I mean? Don't assume. That don't assume hit me hard because I assume you would do whatever it is that I think would be considered love. Here we go. The four agreements: be impeccable with your word, mean what you say what you mean, and do it in a righteous, honest way. Number two, take nothing personal. It's not personal, right? If you could try not to take nothing personal, then you'll be in a position where you can actually look at the situation, what's happening, versus reacting to it. Three, don't make assumptions. My favorite of the four ingredients, agreements. Number three is don't make assumptions. So that's where communication comes into play. Even if somebody does something, what did you mean by that? I'm not going to assume. If I assume, then yeah, I would be out here burning all types of bridges too. Yeah, you meant that, or you that was personal. You know what I'm saying? You did that towards me. You could have just been having a bad day. So when you ghosted me, it wasn't you ghosting me. You was just away from your phone. Which how many of us do that? You know what I mean? I'm just not even gonna get on the phone today. Just I'd had enough. And then the next day, somebody, now you ain't talk to me, so I ain't gonna talk to you. And then threw a whole friendship away. So don't make assumptions. And the last one is always do your best. And your best is not always 100%. But if all you got is 50, like I said this morning, I was tired, right? And look at me, still alive. If all you got is 50% to give it. Always do your best, regardless if it's rewarded immediately or reciprocated or received from the person that you're giving your best to. Always do your best. It would always come back to you. Thank you, Quan. Thank you, Quan, for that. So that goes into emotional regulation too. You put them four things into play and get that book, The Four Agreements, then you'll definitely be able to regulate your emotions more. Another book that I cater towards this is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. You'll realize that you control your thoughts. Your thoughts are the seeds. And if you want to, any type of seed you plant is what you're going to harvest. So if you're planting seeds of negativity, of doubt, of guilt, of shame, of if you're planting, gossip seeds, the more that you plant, the more you will harvest. What you sow is what you reap. So you choose your thoughts, going back to the emotions. You choose your thoughts. You can't choose your emotions, but you choose your thoughts, and your thoughts could lead you into a different emotion. Hmm? Nobody chooses to be jealous. A lot of us don't choose to be angry, but we are. You know what I'm saying? Nobody chooses to be frustrated, but people can irritate you. It's how you handle them. How do you regulate them? The process again is emotion, thought, decision, action. So the next time a guy try to say that he based everything on logic, understand that logic starts with emotion. It's still an emotional reaction that's embedded to logic. Next thing that we discovered, I had my guy, Mr. Paul DeBerry, and he actually has a nonprofit called Rebuilding Men. So all of the guys that are looking for a safe circle, a tribe of men who are doing something and willing to assist, somewhere that you can be honest without judgment, without ridicule, and might need some assistance, might need some resources, might be bouncing back. I'm talking about if you just got out of the prison system, child support issues. I'm talking about, just got out of a bad breakup, just having a rough time in between jobs. You know what I'm saying? Want to learn more. He's a financial coach. So a lot of us tie our identities to money. And he's a financial coach. That had a lot. He done had the six figures. He done lost a lot and had nothing. So he done been through those experiences for me to call him a real one in those areas. He has a nonprofit he created because he went through a divorce and couldn't find any men that he could talk to. All of the solutions was like, screw her, let's go get you another one, or let's lean into substance, something outside of you. So let's go to the bar. You know what I'm saying? Let's get you some smoke. Let's get you some more, women around you. Like that's not what he needed. And it's not most of the time it's not a solution for any of us. It's just an escape. That's us trying not to look into what the real issue is. So shout out to my guy Paul DeBerry for creating Rebuilding Men, the nonprofit. And that info is accessible in the description on that live. Man, rebuild thyself. And we talked about how to rise up after a breakup, how to regain your identity, how to maintain your identity after a loss, after adversity. We know adversity builds character, that challenges make you strong. But when you're the one being challenged, it damn sure don't feel like it. Had a lot of challenges this month in the men's mental health month. Had a lot of challenges this month, man. Had a lot. And I think it was wonderful, man. I think it was wonderful. But it's always like that after. During, it's like, man, I don't know. Something gotta give. You know what I mean? Like something gotta woo. It could be rough. So go to that live to see the things that we discussed and the topics that we touched on. Man, really rebuild thyself. How do we pick ourselves up? What does self-care look like for men? You want a spa day? Most of us, nah, I don't need all that. You know what I'm saying? What does self-care look like for men? How do you pick yourself up? How do you rebuild yourself after some type of loss? Right? So that was a dope live. Go check that one out. And the last live that we did was with my guy, Marquis Smith, on the topics of power, pleasure, and consequences. The price that men pay for the power, like how are you in a position of power? A lot of guys lose their mind when they get in a position of power. And we seeing too many of our guys, of our men in those very situations. We both got to understand that we are also being targeted. So some of these situations are setups for you to fall. When you become a man of affluence, that's the word that we kept using, meaning you have some type of success, some type of stardom, some type of, financial gain, some type of traction, some type of momentum. You will then get attention, access, and opportunity. But here's the thing. What I discovered is the best distractions present themselves, huh, as new opportunities. Just because you now have access to all of these women don't mean that you got to act on it. Just because you are tempted, that could be sexual, that could be in dominance. We spoke about me and him both are in management positions. That's a position of authority. And we both spoke on our experiences where you tested me. Like, I could like take food off of your plate, right? I could shorten your hours. I could put you in the worst position, but you playing with me. It's tempting. That ego again bubbles up like, yo, put this motherfucker in this place. But what's the reality? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you handle these situations when you do gain some type of influence, affluence? How do you handle it? So that was a great discussion that we had, because a lot of us don't. We see more and more, especially sports related, but we got more and more of our men, especially young men, who are now, getting in positions of influence, whereas, they're being seen, they're being acknowledged, they're being, boasted and big up. It could get to your head. You start to think that you're on top of the world, can't nothing stop you, you're riding this high. You can get addicted to success to where it doesn't even feel the same. Whatever it was that, like, say for instance, you broke that barrier and crossed over into a million. Now you're known as a millionaire, a multimillionaire. It just doesn't hit the same no more. So now you're looking for the next big thing. And that search could lead to destruction. It could lead to destruction. You want control. Control. The only thing that you control is yourself in this life. So when you start trying to control anything outside of you, yeah, it can get crazy. It does get crazy. Check out that live that we did for the examples of crazy. And the consequences that come in these positions of power. As a man, when you get some type of leverage, how does this affect your mental? This king's disease, right? We went over a lot this month. And I just want to tell my guys, like, you're not alone. It is all right. Challenges build character, right? You do have emotions, but they aren't to regulate you. You are to regulate the emotion, right? We're always improving. That means we're always learning. There's something else to learn, right? Discover yourself. Do your best. Set boundaries from a place of love. When dating, be open-minded because you're still learning. Can't have community without communication. Let's talk. Your pride and your ego is there to protect your mental and your self-identity, but don't let it block you and hinder your opportunities. Build your connections, right? Be willing to connect with people, and connections are made in a vulnerable state. Be willing to be vulnerable, at least enough to establish a connection. Open up a little bit. We all need the mental fitness and the physical fitness, and those two components are similar. So work out, walk, be physically active. That's when the mind, for a man, that's when our minds are the most active, is when we're physically active. That's why when we need to get something off our chest, we work out or we fix something. We working on the car, we doing a quick home repair. You know what I'm saying? We clean. We clean. I don't know nobody that cleans the car like a man. And I think that we choose the car because it's usually outside of the home. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to sit in the house bottling in our stress. You know what I'm saying? I think we choose the car because it's outside of the home. Hmm. I have to talk about that. So yeah, get physically active to get your mind active. Working out actually alleviates the stress hormone, and break the silence, man. Break the silence. You have multiple places that you could discuss. You have multiple places that you could talk to men. You have multiple things that you could do. I just love you, my brother, my guy, my man. It's all love. It always is. And I mean that. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. And I'll put some links in this description if you don't want to talk to me personally, but just don't let it sit. It's the Men's Mental Health Month of 2025. From here, the only way is up. The only way is up. Can't have community without communication. We got to do that by talking to one another. So, much love. Thank you, man. I'll be seeing each one of y'all, and y'all be seeing more of what we got coming. Peace.